Well, not to taint the subject a little bit, but we received an interesting email in the request email this week.
Yes, we did.
I had a kind of a difficult time trying to ascertain where this came from and why.
Yeah.
I when I first read it, I didn't even inform you that it was there. I just read it and I was just like, what the fuck?
Right.
I was just like, okay. And then you saw it a day later and I was just like, yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Guy really tried hard to get me. Wow, it worked too.
Well,
I was upset.
For whatever reason, and I think probably, and not that I feel left out, but yeah. I just wonder why he's attacking you.
Easier target.
So you say, and I got to wonder. So I'm going to read this email.
Okay.
This email came through the request email that you just click on the website.
Yeah.
So under the line that says name, it says Aiken sucks cock. Okay, for whatever reason, he targeted you.
Yep.
He left an email. Then he says, "Oh, nasal passages."
I don't know what that is.
I don't even know what that is. Then under the song requested, Aiken's dad is worm food.
Ooh, hurt me.
And then you heard us on W fuck off. Okay.
Right.
Then in his message, he writes, "You rip on Talking Metal, then can't remember the hotel chain you stayed at."
Okay.
I'm not really sure what that's making reference to.
Did I talk about staying at a hotel?
I don't think so. The only thing that I mentioned, I think it was me that mentioned a hotel chain.
Okay.
I was talking about the that actor last week that was in the Motley Crue video and was on Weird Science.
Oh, yeah, that Bannister guy.
And I said that there was a coffee shop at a hotel, and I said I couldn't remember the name of the hotel chain.
Okay.
But it was a Best Western.
All right.
That came to me later. I thought, okay, it's a Best Western. Big deal.
All right.
It's all in fun till Fat Boy calls John a faggot.
Okay. And now it's not in fun?
Yeah, so did you cross a line or something?
Apparently so. I crossed his line.
Okay. You don't name drop, but had to crowbar in the Rex Brown how close you are with the rest of the boys. Well, I know for a fact that you've hung out with Pantera numerous times and actually had a meet and greet with them at a record store.
Yes.
And you've had them at WMMS when you used to do the metal show.
Yes.
And you've been at many shows backstage with them. So is that false? Is that false claiming?
And I've also been invited personally by Phil Anselmo to come down to House of Shock, his haunted house, for years. And I know the guys well. And I've been part of several things outside of Pantera. You know, I did the last interview that they ever did that Dimebag ever did in Cleveland, face to face with him.
Yeah, that's when you were doing the karate kicks, right?
Yeah, when we were, and that was it. We played around doing karate kicks on top of speakers at the end of the interview, or, you know, at the end of the time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So where's the problem?
I was friends with them.
So where's the problem? Where? I don't get that. I don't
know that that's name dropping when I tell stories of stuff I did.
Okay. Aiken knows this guy and that guy.
Yes.
Well, both you and I have been doing this for at least 18 years.
Yeah.
So after 18 years apiece, you get to know people after a while.
Yep.
So I don't see that as being such a stretch.
No, definitely not.
So he says, get him on then. Well, if you look back over the 17-year history of just the Classic Metal Show alone, and we're not even talking about Midweek Mayhem or the Metal Show or, you know, all the things that you've done in your radio career.
Right.
How many interviews collectively between your your shows and my shows do you think we've done?
Oh, wow.
At least 500?
More than that. Dude, don't forget the magazine.
Oh, that's true. Music's Bottom Line and then Pitch Riff on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, I did 6-7 interviews every week or every 2 weeks with Music's Bottom Line.
And there for about 4 years, I don't think a week went by where we didn't have at least 3 interviews a week.
Yeah, I mean, that was what we were filling the show with.
That was 150 interviews a year times 4.
Yes, that's 600
That's
right there.
600 interviews.
And that's just here. And that I would say we're in the thousands at this point.
Yeah, so I don't get it. Yeah, we get them on.
Yeah, we do. And to be honest and to be fair, since I took this as a personal challenge, you and I have talked about it off show, and we don't really love doing interviews. I can speak for me that I think a lot of the time the interviews waste our time.
Now, didn't we just have Rex Brown on last week?
Yeah, we did last week.
Okay.
So I think that's a big interview.
Does that get any bigger for hard metal bands?
Well, it does get bigger because we had Jason Newsted on a month ago.
Yeah, that's right. We had Newsted on. So
so we had a guy from Metallica and a guy from Pantera in a month. We've had what? We've had Rob Halford on several times.
And he says he loves the show. He loves doing the show.
We've had other members of Judas Priest. KK Downing has been on a couple of times.
Tipton on. We've had KK on. We've had Ian Hill on.
Yeah. I mean, what other bands you want to go to? We've had Iron Maiden guys.
We've had Bruce Dickinson on. We've had
you can name just about every band. We've had Dio. Right?
Yeah.
We've had Dio. We've had I mean, pick a big name. They've been on.
It's just bizarre. Okay, whatever. So he says, other than Don Dokken, you guys can't get shit.
Okay.
Okay, I guess Jason Newsted is shit. I guess Rex Brown is shit, just to name the 2 most recent interviews.
Right, in the last month. Okay.
Yeah. Nader Dahu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Nobody does know Nader. We know Nader. He's our friend.
Yeah. Nader's a friend.
Yeah.
And he's truly one of the standout people in the cult classic movie Decline of Western Civilization.
Right, of course.
I mean, he's definitely one of the true standout faces in that movie.
Yep.
I mean, if you were to name 3 scenes in that movie, what scenes would you name?
Well, me personally, the first one would be undoubtedly Nader telling the Arizona story.
Okay.
That's number 1. Chris Holmes is number 2.
In the swimming pool.
In the swimming pool. And number 3 for me is always the performance from Megadeth doing whatever the tune is. God damn it. Why am I thinking?
In My Darkest Hour.
Yeah, My Darkest Hour. I'm thinking For Whom the Bell Tolls. I knew that wasn't it, but yeah, those are my 3.
So I don't get it. What? Anyway, go to move on.
Yeah.
I want to hear you live on the air. Take your personal phones and get a Hetfield or an Ulrich on the line. So this basically boils down to Ulrich or Hetfield.
Apparently.
All right. Well, we can tell you, and Mark was just on the show, you don't just get an Ulrich or a Hetfield on the line. It just doesn't. Right. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody does that.
Nope. Including your heroes over at Talking Metal,
or even an Eddie Trunk.
And has Talking Metal had Lars Ulrich?
No, I don't think so.
Or James Hetfield on their gig?
I don't believe so.
I would say, and look, you know me, I'll be honest. The only name that they've had that we haven't had is Ozzy.
True.
That's the only name that I could think of that they have had on their show that we have not had on.
Right.
I mean, who else? Mustaine? I've interviewed Mustaine.
Well, he's been on the show.
Yeah, we've had him on several times.
I've been with him personally.
Me too.
So I don't know. Bizarre.
Yeah, no, it's stupid.
And then he continues on trying to stick it to you. Chris's dad will rise from his worm pit before that happens.
Got me.
And then, of course, in cowardly talking metal fashion,
yeah.
Go ahead and bomb this email address. It's my ex-wife's.
Okay.
Because I'm such a pussy
yeah.
that I have to be under a veil of, secrecy or anonymity because I'm too much of a pussy to stand up and face the fire.
Right. I was like, okay, what am I going to say to this?
Nothing to say.
But I did in very un-me fashion, I guess. I took this as a challenge instead of just an insult.
Okay.
And I just decided this week that I would just answer the fucking let's get some people on. And I've booked about 15 interviews this week. I picked up my personal cell phone and I started making some calls. And I picked up my personal email account and I started sending some emails. And so, in the next few weeks, probably over the next month or two, we are going to have, we had Mark Eglinton on tonight. We're going to have Steel. Yeah, exactly.
It's not Hatfield. It's not Ulrich.
You're right. It's not, but it's what we got. We're going to have Steel Panther on. And that's a personal phone call. That's not a one that we have to go through some publicity firm to get.
I've known Ralph for about 14 years.
Yeah. So, we can make that happen and are making that happen. We're having our friends in Beatallica back on. We're going to have Biff Byford from Saxon on. We're going to have the legendary Kenny Aronoff, who's played with, Sammy Hagar, Blue Oyster Cult,
Cinderella, John Mellencamp, John Fogerty.
Yeah. We're going to have him on. We're going to have Michael Wilton and probably Todd Latore, I think was the other one that I was offered, because that was one I actually did through a reach out, from Queensryche. We're having Jeff Scott Soto on. We're having Udo Dirk Schneider on. We're having
Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian Bach. The guys from Sodom have asked to come on. Vicious Rumors is going to be coming on. Kingdom Come is going to be coming on. Lenny Wolf, right? So yeah, I took this as a personal challenge and just wanted to see who I still knew.
Right.
And apparently I still know a guy or two.
Right. Hail and kill, caller. You're on the air.
Hail and kill, boys. Sorry to interrupt again. You know what? This really ticks me off. I hate guys like this. It's so easy to hide behind a computer and just write in your opinions, right? But none of these guys ever call in, and I know I drive you guys nuts when I call in, but none of these other guys ever call in. They just want to do the cowardly thing and sit behind a computer. The other thing is, mate, you forgot, you had Cliff Williams from AC/DC on as well.
True.
So, it just, stuff them. Hail and kill. Fuck you, pal. Hand job.
Did he say stuff them?
I think he said fuck them.
Oh, I thought he said stuff them. I don't know.
I like stuff them better.
Yeah, sure.
Stuff them like my dad, man, because you hurt my feelings saying that my daddy's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking really crushed me, dickhead.
Nice.
I can't handle the fact that he said my dad is worm food.
Right.
Ooh, boo, hoo. Yeah, guess what? He is dead. I know that. Guess what? I was there. I watched the breathing stop, dickhead. I'm not a big pussy like you. Go suck another cock, faggot.
Right. Well, it's all in fun and games until you just called me a faggot, pal. Now you're going to really pay. I'm going to use my friend's email, and I'm going to really say something mean.
That's right. Your dad's being eaten by leeches and roaches and worms, you fuckface.
I'm gonna establish a false Gmail account, and I'm going to really send something mean to you.
That's right. Oh, God damn it. I'm going to show you. Where's my ex-wife's email account? I'm going to send an email from that one because I still know her password.
Right.
I'm cool like that.
What a pussy.
What a fucking bitch. Put on your dress, sweetheart. You don't fucking intimidate us, you fucking cunt.
Nice. All right,
And
well,
my dad is in an urn anyway. He's burned, not fucking rotting in a hole, you dickhead. He's sitting in my mom's closet. Fuckface.
well, there you are. Well, on to happier stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy about this. You want the truth? I'm happy that this guy put this challenge to me, because while I don't really love doing a bunch of interviews, I will happily do it just to shut this fucking dumb fuck that knows nothing about nothing up.
Well, he basically does represent the typical talking metal fan.
Yeah, he probably is about 15 years old.
Right.
Fucking, well, no, he's got an ex-wife, so, well, if he's from Lima, he could be 15 years old.
True. True dat.
Yeah. Good point in the chat room, Hemakuda. Dude's ex-wife wanted to marry another guy, one with a dick that worked.
Right. Wow.
Very good point.
Well, on that note, I think I will play a song to commemorate this segment.
All right.
I'm going to get a drink.
Is it by Bombay Black?
No.
That's a good one, too.
No. I think I'm going to do a Metallica cover, but it's done by a very worthy person.
Okay.
And I think this sums it all up.
All right, let's hear.
And this is a request as well.
All right,
from
good.
the demon in the chat room.
Okay.
She wanted to hear Chuck Billy.
All right.
Who's also been on the show.
What? You guys had Testament too? Shit! I sound like a dickhead with my email.
Yeah. We've had Chuck Billy on the show a couple of times, as well as
Alex
Skolnick and Pete,
Eric Peterson.
Eric Peterson's been on the show, so big deal.
Yeah, we don't get anybody on the show.
Yeah, nobody big.
That's my favorite part of the whole fucking thing. Who else do we have to get on the show except Ozzy?
Or Lars or James Mann.
Yeah, but we've had guys from Metallica on.
Yeah, true.
We've had Jason on. I've interviewed Jason several times. I've hung out with Jason several times.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, I've been on stage with the Metallica guys at Soundcheck, for God's sakes. I certainly know them a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm friends with them or nothing, but don't let me be name dropping when I tell a story about something I've done. Holy fuck.
Well, let's just put it this way. After almost 20 years for each of us,
yeah,
you end up knowing a few people.
Yeah, you tend to.
So
certainly.
So anyway, in light of the segment for the demon in the chat room, here's Chuck Billy, a Testament, doing cover of Metallica, Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
It's Testament right here on your Classic Metal Show.